also just a quick throwback to the last game, because I was talking to Noah after the game. If he had Gamut before the Super Factory, he couldn't have used it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry for that.
But let's get into the action here with this. And as you can see, we have Labrynth in the hands of Minjae versus Floowandeereze by Luka. And Minjae started off with a pretty strong card right away. There's Pot of Extravagance, allowing him to draw 2 cards. Is that going to be successful? It does look like it.
Interesting choice from Minjae, because I think I've seen most Labrynth players prefer to run the Prosperity to the Extravagance.
The ratio is pretty interesting, because we have triple Pot of Extravagance and 1 Pot of Prosperity only. And as you can see, there are a lot of monsters in the hand of Minjae, which is super unusual for the Labrynth deck.
Yeah.
And this card also is pretty unusual, but it is being featured here in the list of Minjae. It is Labrynth Cooklock.
I was going to say, this may be the choice of Extravagance over Prosperity, might be informed by his choice to run a lot of the other Labrynth, I don't know what to call them, little chandelier support cards.
All the little monsters.
A lot of players aren't running, which all require you to discard cards from your hand.
There's the Gamma being, the driver rather, being discarded. And look, Luka has to pick up those cards.
I think Luka's going to be doing a lot of reading this game. I mean, he doesn't have the advantage that we do of being able to read the cards before the match starts.
Yeah, for sure.
He has to do it live and go, what does this? I have no idea what you're about to do here.
There is one clock, there is one chandelier.
It's a chandelier, yeah. It's quite a nice pun.
For sure, yeah.
And we have a stove.
And a stove. A clock, a chandelier, and a stove.
And he's playing all of those. So when I was looking over this list before we went into this round, I was like, there are more than 20 monsters in this deck, which is so unusual for a Labrynth deck. Because usually you are going for the trap cards, because it's a trap card, widely known as one to be. But all those monsters are also getting you into your trap cards, of course.
Yeah, this is... I think Luka's going to be a little bit confused, because you just don't know what you're expecting. I think most people know what they're expecting when you start off against a Labrynth deck. They're going to set a bunch of trap cards.
Yeah.
Most people know what those trap cards are going to be. Well, what are you expecting now? Your opponent summons a Cooklock and a Stovey Torby, or in this case Chandelier.
And honestly, I think that could be a really good approach by Minjae, because the Labrynth deck has been struggling in the format lately, because so many people have been unevenly matched. A lot of people have actually considered to play Denko Sekka even. And now you are finding a way to play around those cards by just not playing that many traps anymore.
I'm loving this first turn. You know, like normally it takes a turn or two for the Labrynth deck to get going, but here we are. This is his first turn. He's going to get to destroy a card in his opponent's hand. He's adding all of these cards that he's discarded back.
This almost feels like a combo deck. And we hit a Pot of Extravagance on the other side, so that is strong stuff. This could have been 2 cards, but this is taken out right away there.
Not only that, he can reset the lovely Labrynth, and then he's going to be able to use the big Welcome Labrynth again on his opponent's turn.
Wow.
And could destroy two of the cards in Luka's hand before he's even got to play any of them.
Look at that, Lovey, exactly what's going on there. We are setting back the big Welcome Labyrinth, and Luka is looking for the part of the effect that says you can only use one of the effects, but no, in that case you can use both of them here.
Lovely Labrynth, it's such a powerful card. I think a lot of players who play the Labrynth deck, there is the annoying bit that it is level 8, and unlike the Lady Labrynth, it can't just summon itself straight from your hand, so drawing it is a bit annoying, but having it on the field is just unbelievable.
To be fair, after looking at Luka's hand, I think I have spotted a Pot of Prosperity.
Yeah, maybe he was relieved that the Pot of Extravagance was taken, so he doesn't have to decide anymore.
So many pots.
Yeah, but Luka Forjan, honestly, known to be one of the crazy combo players in the playing field, also with a bunch of tops lately. He has been really successful, and now he's on Floowandeereze, which I was very surprised by when I read that first.
Call, you know, Floowandeereze a combo deck?
Not really, to be honest, but here he is with Floowandeereze, and he's 9-1 in this tournament, and therefore doing absolutely well for himself.
I mean, there are still a few Floowandeereze in contention. I think there are about 3 that are still X2 or better.
I think even X1 or better, to be honest.
Oh, really?
But there's the Ash Blossom on the Prosperity, so that's strong stuff there. Minjae just using all the monster effects here in this matchup, and now Luka sits there with only 4 cards in hand, and sometimes that can be a problem for the Floo deck.
And there is one monster, one level 1 small birdie, and that could be the Robina, ideally.
Oh, there first of all,
it's 3.
Is Unexploring Winds, which usually is a really good card in this matchup because you could tribute opponent's back row. But it looks like he's laying down his hand. Does that mean Luka is just passing it over there?
I think the wins have the second effect that you can shuffle back your Winged Beast from your hand to draw new cards.
But you can't do that anymore because Prosperity was activated, so that's not an option here.
Is that a part of the effect of Prosperity or a condition that you can't draw cards?
So if it gets ashed, you definitely cannot draw anymore. I read that card like yesterday evening or something. I made sure I had the exact same scenario for me.
It's always worth checking because some of the pots have effects, some of them have conditions.
Yeah, for sure.
So you always need to be up to date. So if it's a condition and the effect's negated, then you can't draw any cards. But if it's part of the effect and the effect's negated, then you still can.
Indeed. So we are using the Coup Clock, and we are discarding multiple cards. That gets us going for another effect to set a welcome Labrynth there.
That is also a map in the hand of Luka, right?
Yeah.
So he 100% has place. He can just banish the Robina and then normal summon the Stree and banish actually some resources from the graveyard.
Do we think Minjae is doing this
you know, end phase,
in Luka's turn, or you think Luka just passed his turn?
I think we're maybe in end phase.
But why would he pass his turn if he has map plus a bird?
To be honest, that is not going to bring you very far when you are playing versus Labrynth, I would assume. And therefore, he maybe thought, I could have another turn, so I'm trying to have another card to play through this. Oh, but okay, no, we're still in the turn of Luka, that's for sure.
But we don't know if it's the, the main phase or the end
phase.
phase.
Which phase it is, yeah. But there's Book of Moon on the lovely lady.
So otherwise the lovely lady would get to trigger its effect again because the big welcome is going to special summon a Labrynth from his deck and then bounce any of the Labrynth or any of the monsters on his field. So that would cause, lovely lady because... lovely lady.
That still feels like a pretty bad trade because you invested a Book of Moon into it still, so you got rid of one card out of his hand anyways.
But you got to choose. It was the Book of Moon rather than one of the other cards.
And we are also going to special summon out the lovely lady.
He's getting the Coup Clock back. He's used the Coup Clock like 3 times, and it still seems to be in his hand, which doesn't seem right. It just goes on forever. You just get to use the clock.
There's a Chandelier again, adding itself back to the hand as well, because a monster left the field because of a trap effect. But there is the map. Leo, you were right. We were doing all of that in reaction to the activation of Unexploring Winds.
But it's really hard to interrupt Floowandeereze when you are normal summoning in between of those normal summon combo effects, right?
True.
So it's hard to interrupt them building up a field, and you see that there are not that many traps on the side of Minjae, so you know there is probably not going to be some impermanent shenanigans.
So we know he's just got the one big welcome, and he can activate that this turn because he used the effect of Coup Clock.
True. So we are trying to banish the big welcome, but there's Skill Drain! That is the one card we did not know there from Minjae, but that Skill Drain is just going to shut down Luka's turn there, and he's smiling at it, knowing that that's probably going to stop his entire turn here.
That card has been side-decked against Floowandeereze in the last few formats, and now it is just in the main deck of Minjae, just doing the work.
So does Luka have any protection here? Because if not,
no, he does not! That means that Luka is picking up his cards, and Minjae, with his very unique Labrynth strategy, is going to take down game number 1 here. We saw more monster effects being used by a Labrynth deck than ever before, to be honest.
Do we dare say that that was an explosive start for Labrynth?
Probably,
it's not normally what we say about Labrynth. Normally it's set 3 or set 5.
Well, that was almost as long as the Mathmech combo in the game before, I'm going to be honest there. I mean, there are multiple monster effects. You are reusing your graveyard. You're just throwing away all of your trap cards, and you get another trap card, and then you have the ladies and all that stuff. It's fun.
For sure. To Minjae, I really enjoy seeing players, you know, there's the popular Labrynth strategy, and players built the deck a particular way. They thought, wow, okay, the deck better have some trap cards in it. I'll play 20 trap cards in my deck. But Minjae's saying, no, maybe you want to just run more of the monster effects. Make sure your engine's going, because a lot of players complain when they run the Labrynth deck. Sometimes they don't get their engine going. One of their initial cards gets ashed or hit by Ghost Spell, and then you just don't have any Labrynth monsters to play with. But if you run a ton more Labrynth monsters, that's probably going to happen a lot less often.
And also a huge advantage here in that kind of a tournament is when you just revolutionized a deck like that. Like, nobody really knows that this deck is to be played now like that by Minjae. Your opponents don't know how to play against it. Your opponents don't know how to side deck against it. So that's just going to be such a big upside for you.
I think the brilliant part about this is that we have seen Labrynth on stream already a few times this weekend. a crucial card of the deck is Skill Drain. It is Gozen Match. Some of those really powerful continuous trap cards.
For sure.
So you still have those in the deck. You're just not playing all of those normal trap cards that don't really have that much impact. I don't know if he's on Dogmatica Punishment.
He is.
On
only one copy of
only
it.
one-dimensional barrier,
yeah.
because you can set the normal
You
trap
need
cards.
a couple of copies to set
Yeah.
with your Lady Labrynth.
But he's playing a lot of consistency with those little Labrynth monsters.
I love
and
it.
he still has the high impact cards. I think this is an incredibly well-built deck.
For sure, absolutely. And it comes out of nowhere. Like,
Absolutely,
honestly,
yeah.
I was thinking that Labrynth is really going to struggle in this tournament when I looked at the results of Labrynth in the last couple of weeks, because it always really felt like they struggled so hard post-siding. But I can see this deck being perfectly fine even post-siding.
We've seen people, you know, what do you side in when you're playing against Labrynth? You side in Denkoseki, you side in Evenly Match, you side in
All of
Harpy's
that.
Feather Duster.
All
But
of
this
it.
deck, if you're not as reliant on your trap cards to defend yourself, and instead you're using these monster effects from your hand.
We even have like we have Lightning Storm for Luka, but that's another card that's maybe not even that powerful here.
Yeah, you can immediately flip up your continuous trap cards. I mean, you're not afraid of Denkoseka against that deck. Maybe, I mean, there is the map still, so you have multiple normal
It's
summons.
not in
However,
here, it's not
what do
in
you
here.
expect when the Labrynth deck is siding against you? You don't expect Mudora and Keldor, for example, because those are actually in the side deck.
This is absolute madness, but they do make sense to be in the side deck, because Keldor and Mudora can be discarded for the effects of Kukulok, for example, and therefore you get them into a graveyard.
Don't they need a trap card to discard?
No, you can discard a
No,
monster
they
effect.
discard any card.
Perfect.
I mean, we discarded Driver in game 1, and that also worked
That
very
is
well.
an actual point that
The
you're
best
making
use
there,
for Driver
let's see.
we've seen.
Yeah, absolutely. It was really, really powerful. Let's see whether game 2 is about to be as powerful as game 1 for the Labrynth player Minjae. He's going to come through the turn 1 board of Luka there. So Luka versus Minjae, game number 2 coming up. Let's get into the action.
So, game 2 is about to start. The fist bump is proceeding. It has happened already. So that's not... Fist bumps don't take as long. Gotta be honest.
There's
there.
a long setup for a fist bump.
But we are now going to see Luka Floowandeereze all over his opponent, because he is starting, and this is an extravagance.
It is. And that was really, really powerful for Minjae in the last game. So
Yeah, it's a
let's
draw
hope
too.
it's
It's
as
decent.
powerful for Luka now.
It's a decent card.
Pot of Greed with a couple of strings attached.
It's not that bad for Floowandeereze deck, though, because the extra deck is usually not what you're using that much anyhow.
Yeah, exactly. Pot of Prosperity, a lot of decks can get away with.
Luka almost going through the entire pot collection.
Yeah,
It's recently
true.
been
And look
released.
at that. There's the Feather Duster and the Cosmic Cycler, and he decides to take none of those versus the Labrynth deck.
No, you
That's
definitely want
huge.
your map, right?
Yeah, if you can't play
If
yet, you
don't
definitely
if
need
you
it.
don't have access to it before.
And there's another cool Harpiest card in his hand already, which could be very helpful
I was
here in
going
that
to say,
situation.
this is almost like a little Harpy deck. You've got
Yeah.
your winged beasts.
I mean, that is really strong against this version of the Labrynth deck, right?
For sure, there's
This is
so many monster effects.
Do you think Luka will have thought of that? Because obviously there's the 3 Feather Storms in his side deck, and those are incredibly powerful cards to bring in against decks that rely on monster effects. But would you be worried your opponent's just going to set a skill drain and pass back to you?
I mean, you don't have to just immediately activate it. You can just hold the Harpy's Feather Storm for your turn as well, so they couldn't activate the effect of the Labrynth monsters in their hand ban. So
yeah.
that reduces them from playing on your turn. So I do definitely think that Harpy's Feather Storm is a card to come in here, and I think I saw it in his opening hand even.
Oh, okay.
So we're probably going to see that, and we're also going to see a tribute summon here for Acompanhe. That is how it is supposed to be.
And he also has the Cosmic Cyclone in hand. It's like he chose this hand specifically for going first versus this Labrynth Ryan, yeah, with a little Labrynth. Really cool, but
Is
he's
it
going
cool
to
enough?
I think it might not be cool enough to close this game too. I haven't seen Minjae's hand so far, but what Luka is putting out there, it's pretty strong, because the grind potential of Floowandeereze is absolutely insane. And we also have the Cosmic Cyclone to back up against a possible skill drain. I doubt that he is going to set it. I think he's going to
Probably
keep it in
not.
hand
Yeah,
because
yeah. It's
then
safer.
you don't lose to evenly matched, which is
Absolutely.
a popular card.
I like just banishing his Polar Duality. I'm not sure if there's a reason for banishing.
He needs to banish something to get an extra normal summon,
Oh, you need to banish for the extra normal summon. I got you.
but he's not
Okay.
using it.
Oh, there was one set card too. I mean, he's actually going to set the... Oh no, the Cosmic is still in hand. Okay.
What you can also do is banish all of the cards from your graveyard so that you can activate Shifter if you draw it later on.
That's good. I like that. I like that.
Not
Or you-
really versus Labrynth deck, though.
Oh, against the
Against-
little ones?
This one is alright, I guess.
Against this Labrynth deck, yeah, it might be quite annoying.
I mean, you can always chain them to the Shifter, but...
So,
Do you think? Yeah, there might be something in the end phase here. No, it's really, really weird to be on your opponent's first turn to be playing things in their end phase. That
with a trap deck.
with a trap deck.
but exactly
that
what is
seems to
going
be
to
what's
happen
going on.
here.
It's getting
We
hot in here.
are
The stove is
going
on.
The Stovey Tarby in end phase, discarding the big welcome Labrynth. And honestly, Acompanhe is really strong because it prevents attack position monsters on the opponent's side of the field that have been special summoned from activating their effects. But if you can just give it back to the hand with the big welcome Labrynth, it's not as scary anymore.
You can also just summon your monsters in defense.
Yeah, I mean, that works, but I mean, at some point
At
you
some
will
point
have to
they
attack.
need to go into attack, but you know, if Runic's taught us anything, it doesn't have to be anytime soon.
That is
That
actually
is true.
yeah.
But I mean, the really good part about the Labrynth is they can pump out big defense point monsters
Yes,
en
certainly
masse
can.
the entire time. I am not sure how you're supposed to out one of those, more than one of those ladies.
Well, how do you even out the
Oh,
first
and look,
one?
we kept the Cosmic Cyclone, so now we can use it in the end phase still onto the trap that has just been set by Stovey Tarby, which was a welcome
too bad.
Labrynth.
That's a nice 2-for-1.
Yeah,
for Luka
indeed,
there.
it was.
How you out something is with Floowandeereze and Acompanhe's secret effect that in battle you can actually banish one Winged Beast card from your hand to half the attack and defense of a monster that you're attacking.
Both players
Oh, that's a good
really
way of adding
enjoying
it.
their pot of extravagances here.
Or something like that.
Something like that.
That's another draw two here, this time again on the side of Minjae.
Both
Minjae,
players
sorry.
being really extra this match.
Yeah, really. So what are we finding here? Evenly matched would still be strong, but
That absolutely would be.
let
Is
me
he
tell you
running the
something.
evenly matched?
There is no evenly matched even in the side deck, which is so unusual
That
for
is an
the
odd
Labrynth
choice.
deck. But I mean, if you're playing on the opponent's end phase, then you will have cards on the field, so evenly matched doesn't seem that great anymore.
Do you think
Wait,
he-
no. Wait. No.
Were you thinking about just setting evenly matched to the field, maybe?
Yeah, but maybe in the end phase you can set something with the Labrynth monsters. If you can set a normal trap card, which would be strong, but I don't know if they do that. I
Well,
have
you
to read
can't
everything.
use evenly matched in the end phase.
Yeah, but you can set it, and then on your turn in battle phase you flip it.
That works.
That's
I would
quite
say that
fun.
works.
But if your opponent then has any way to destroy a spell or trap, you've invested quite a lot into.
Oh, but look at that. Luka, on the resolution of the Pot of Extravagance, immediately decided to activate his trap card of the Floowandeereze and brought out the Apex Avian as a result of that.
So Minjae already down two cards from the Stovey. He's got one back, but now this Apex Avian is going to take away at least one more. And this Apex Avian is going to come into play a lot.
I love Apex Avian.
Yeah.
It is a very cool card.
I used to pendulum summon it out all the time.
And you also used to summon it out in Lurelist, that was also quite cool. But nowadays, pretty much the only deck that can play it is the Floowandeereze deck.
It's got really good synergy with the deck because
Yeah.
the birds they keep recycling themselves.
Yeah.
Well, the small birds, and then you contribute them for the big bird.
Yeah, and I mean, Apex Avian also kind of recycles itself by
Exactly.
going back to the hand with its own effect, so that's really powerful. But a more classic approach now by Minjae for this game, setting 4 cards to the back row. This looks like a Labrynth deck to me now. And what do we have? There is the activation of Welcome Labrynth here.
We mentioned the Cosmic Cyclone being so great to hit on the first turn, but now if Minjae is drawing a skill drain,
Yeah,
Luka might not have an answer to it.
that's what I was thinking as well.
I mean, currently, there's the Apex Avian as an answer.
Exactly. But
True,
you
Apex
can,
Avian destroys.
you can just wait for the Apex Avian to be activated at some point and then chain the skill drain.
And also, there's big Welcome Labrynth in the graveyard of Minjae. So if we are now getting a monster onto the field with the Welcome Labrynth, which we are going to do here because it is resolving right there, that big Welcome Labrynth in the graveyard can now take care of monsters on the field of Luka.
Exactly, so it can force out the... Well, it doesn't really matter whether you negate it with Avian or whether you just let it resolve. The Avian is in your hand, either way.
Yeah, that is actually true.
Although it makes more sense to negate it with Avian because then it's leaving the field on its own terms rather than by the effect of a trap card. And
By its own choice,
I mean, you're
yeah.
playing into Thrust or Talents.
Oh, and there's another
true.
big welcome Labrynth, but by activating big welcome Labrynth here, we are not going to be able to use the graveyard effect of it anymore this turn.
yes.
Oh, and there's the Harpiest Featherstorm now by Luka. And as I was anticipating, on your own turn, that is quite strong because that means now that Lady Labrynth of the Silver Castle is not going to be able to set another trap card to the field.
And there won't be any cards destroyed by
The lovely lady of the Silver Castle. So many ladies in that Labrynth deck.
So not that lovely anymore. Yeah.
Just because she can't destroy things.
Fair enough. So we are...
But I'd be interested to see.
Really-
I mean, maybe he'll just add one of the small Labyrinth cards to his hand. That would be quite fun.
Potentially, yeah.
That's allowed.
Oh no, we just go for another copy of Lovely Labrynth of the Silver... Oh no, Lady Labrynth of the Silver Castle, Rider.
Yeah, even though it can't activate any of its effects, are they negated by the Featherstorm?
No, they're not.
So
You
it
can
still
just not
can't be
activate them.
targeted and still can't be destroyed by card
Yep.
effects,
Yep.
which is quite annoying.
For sure.
Know which card would be crazy here? Razor the Mega Storm Monarch.
Oh, yeah.
We still have another one of those Tribute Wind Wing Beast monsters in the deck that can be searched out by Floowandeereze and
And
Acompanhe.
there's Pot of Duality now. What are we looking at here? There's Prosperity, so we could go even deeper into the deck, but we take the Quick Spell, which is also, of course, very powerful because it can be any of our Floowandeereze cards of the deck.
He's already got most of them, so the fact that he's adding even more.
A Toucan.
There is
Toucan.
Toucan being revealed for the field spell.
I was gonna go with the many bird noises in this game, but so far I'm really happy that I didn't. But oh, this is also a really good out to a possible skill drain.
Tribute your opponent's cards.
Look at that. We have the continuous spell back again. I think this is a key card in back row matchups. You can just go after the back row by tributing them, which is just so powerful.
It really feels like in a grind game that's going to be such a useful
Yes,
effect.
for sure.
Because you can use it almost every turn if you have an ability to summon on your opponent's turn as well.
Yeah. And also it comes so unexpected because you're just saying, hey, I'm going for tribute summon now, and I'm tributing your card actually, so what do you want to do about it? But there comes a Razor that Leo was already seeing, and yep, we are going to go after the two back rows here, I'm quite sure. We can also go into the graveyard, true.
I find it so cool that you can run Rise of the Mega Monarch. Because Rise of the Storm Monarch, the original Riser, was such a cool card.
Oh yeah,
a very long time ago when I started playing Frog Monarchs and just Yu-Gi-Oh! From, I don't even know how old, but...
I think it came out in 2007 or 8.
Oh wow, I'm very old. Okay.
Something around that. But yeah, because it's not only an out to something on the field, but also it will give that card back to the top of the deck, right? And then your opponent is forced to draw into maybe like a monster that was a tribute summon or something and that he can do nothing with anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, putting cards on top of the deck can be a really irritating thing to do for the opponent. If there's a card that they were looking for, they're now not going to find it because you've put something else on top of their deck.
And look, that Riser is going to resolve, and that is probably... Okay.
Oh, he's just returning something to the hand.
Oh,
the
yeah.
other effective Riser, yeah.
I mean, have we activated Pot of Prosperity this turn? Because otherwise this might look like an OTK scenario here.
I think he's still got a Pot of Prosperity in his hand. I think he used Pot of Duality this
Yeah,
turn.
so far no Prosperity this turn.
Does he have anything to tribute the Lady for this turn?
I don't think so, because there are no more tribute monsters.
I mean, there might be
Does he
another
run
Empen.
any more Tribute monsters?
I mean, I think we searched with Empen or we researched with Agden already.
Yeah, but
right?
he
Runs-
just used the
yeah.
Advent, and now we
I mean,
have
that's a tribute monster. That's just fitting. And now we understand why we went with the quick spell there, because that can just fetch us another Empen from the deck.
This looks like an awful lot of damage.
It does indeed. Stree is going to use its effect.
We are going to banish one card from the graveyard.
Tribute itself
With
and the
Mace
opponent's
Bunker.
monster.
Yeah, and it seems like Luka is an ornithologist because he knows his birds.
Absolutely.
Did you prepare all of
Yes.
these just for the Floowander?
I actually looked up the word, so I'm not mistaken on ornithologist. I was actually making sure.
So this is certainly going to be enough
Yes.
It
damage.
looks like the players have agreed that game goes to Luka.
Yes. So equal score. Luka fighting back here into this match, and now it will all be coming down to one more final game here of this round 11 featured match.
I don't know what to think. You know, this isn't a matchup I've seen very much, and in addition, Minjae's playing this kind of different take. So
certainly does.
It's anyone's game, really. Normally, you can kind of tell, looking at people's decks, what kind of field they're going to end on, or what the opponent might have to respond. But in this, I don't really know what Minjae's aiming to do. I know he's aiming to do some Labrynth things.
For sure. But I mean, I can give you a little bit more clarity about what's going to happen with his side decking plans, because I have his side deck right here in front of me, and there are some really interesting cards which could be really problematic for the Floowandeereze deck, because for example, there's Full Force Virus, and immediately you said when you saw that card in the deck list, that's going to be a problem for Floowandeereze.
I think it is. Like, the ability of the Labrynth deck to fetch viruses, these are incredibly powerful cards. The Eradicator's seen play almost since its release. Like, any deck that could consistently get a monster with more than 2,500 attack and was dark, you would just side in your Eradicator, and then if you played against any deck that relied on either spells or traps, you just side it in and bang.
Honestly, Eradicator doesn't seem bad either, because Floowandeereze needs its spell cards as well, so both of those viruses could be really powerful.
I think Full Force is a little bit better, because you actually really take out the ability to play. And I was just thinking, if you use it immediately on the start of the turn, you might not hit a monster as well, and there is like Prosperity and Duality that can still get you some monsters. However, I think that if you wait for, let's go with the standard combo, Robina, search Eglin, normal summon, search something, and then on the activation of Eglin, you can go for the Full Force Virus to take away the two bodies from the field, and then your opponent would need to have Stree and Tucan.
The problem is you can't wait for the resolution of Eglin, because that would include the effect. Yeah, exactly. You would have to chain it to the effect for sure. Because if you wait for the resolution, there might have been a tribute summoning happening already.
There is a penguin there, and it's mean.
Yeah, indeed it is.
Just Full Force Virus, for those of you who don't know at home, is a kind of quite an old virus card.
Yeah.
It's almost like the opposite of Deck Devastation Virus, which destroyed all monsters with 1,500 or less attack. Yeah. This will destroy all monsters with 1,500 or less defense in your opponent's hand for the next 3 turns. Both would work.
Also, a card that is really powerful ever since versus the Floowandeereze deck is Droll Lockbird, and that is like one of the additional cards that Minjae is bringing in from the side deck. So this could definitely see play here in this game 3 as well, and I'm super excited to see which cards have gone into the deck. Are we going to see any viruses here in game 3 of this round 11 match? We are about to see as players are ready, so let's get back into the action.
Will it be Minjae's bird that actually enables him to beat Luka Forjan's Floowandeereze strategy? Or will he go with skill drains or viruses? We don't know, but he has some plans.
He has options, and I think that looks like a 5-monster starting hand from Minjae, which is not so bad, because it could turn into some traps anyways, and we're going to use Cooklock.
He's probably a lot less worried about that than us. And he might even, again, like normally with the Labrynth deck, if you want to search out the viruses or any particular trap card, you have to summon the lady and then activate a trap and then set the trap. So you won't be able to use the trap until the beginning of your next turn, which would be turn 3, so your opponent's already had a full turn to play.
Yeah, but we could already just use the virus here on turn 1.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, he can accelerate out his Labrynth plays and get to whatever trap that he thinks is going to be most devastating to his opponent's strategy and have it ready and waiting before Luka starts his first turn.
So we're about to see what Stovey Torby is going to set here. I mean, we will have to find a way... Oh,
we just threw away 3 cards from our hand.
But there's also the
we're going to get some back, I think.
I think so.
Sometimes people are forgetting about the effect of Lady Labrynth of the Silver Castle also being able to special summon itself when you activated an effect of a Labrynth card.
Yeah,
and that is exactly what happened. It doesn't need to be a trap card, and therefore it is already on the field there. It is followed up by a big welcome Labrynth that has been set.
And the Cooklock, I think, is going to be able to special summon itself now. Another thing about this is they're not doing this traditional things because, well, as in, I want to say Ash can negate basically everything, which is adding cards from your deck to the hand, drawing cards, special summoning from the deck, but setting a trap from your deck, which is something that Minjae's doing a lot, is not something you can negate with Ash. So I was wondering, like, what might Luka have to prepare for whatever Minjae's doing? Does he have anything in his side deck? Should we have a little look?
I mean, that's really cool that he's working around the most popular card in the current format, working around that Ash Blossom, which could still come down here, but sure. But I'm looking at the side deck of Luka just now.
Oh, and here we see the Eradicator. So this Eradicator already set up.
We are going for Eradicator
So we are
over
preferring Eradicator
the full
over
force
Force
virus,
right?
yeah.
He had his choice. He could have chosen either one.
But I mean, there is...
Maybe there's another one coming, who knows? Maybe we're just going to see
Maybe
two
both.
viruses, because there are also two monsters already. So we're trying to hit a monster here, right? Because we can take care of spell cards anyways. Okay, yeah, then that's a spell card. So that one didn't matter too much to us.
But it was free, and you're going to get to set another card with the lovely lady anyway.
I mean, Luka could have chained that to the activation of the Eradicator, and he could have gotten a monster with it. So actually, it's quite a good hit.
Unless you use it in the standby phase, because you need to, you can banish one from hand.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
You can use. Oh, and
Lord
of the
Bear,
Heavenly
Soul
Prison on top of all of that.
I mean, Lord of the Heavenly Prison doesn't really change anything here necessarily. It's rather just an extender for the field that he was
There's
putting up.
Lightning Storm, so I think Minjae really
Lightning
has to
Storm
do
on
it
top is
early.
feathered.
On that, like,
Do we think he's going to flip it early?
easy?
No, it doesn't make any difference. The back row is protected and the monsters on the field are in defense position.
You're right. Both of those cards aren't even doing that much here.
I think in the situation your opponent knows you have Eradicator, I don't see why you hold on to it. Sometimes you can have it to, you know, like, keep it to maybe get some extra value. Maybe your opponent
but look, we
searches a
start
card.
off with Big Welcome Labrynth, and I think we're trying to go for one random card of the hand first, which is interesting to me.
I was going to say the same. You can just destroy all the spell cards in the
Keep in
hand.
mind that the lovely lady can be activated as chaining 1, and then Eradicator can be activated as chaining 2. So that might be the
Good
plan.
point there.
That's
Because
a
the
really
destruction
smart play.
from lovely lady is random.
Oh, and there's
Oh
the
my
more force
goodness.
virus, so I think we're just going for the double virus combo here in this game.
Double
this
virus
is
and a card
crazy.
left over.
Can you
Lovely.
activate this turn already?
I think he
You
just
can with the
discarded
Ku Klok.
He
Yeah.
just
Right.
discarded the Ku Klok, so that is absolutely the case.
Oh, that looks like a full hand loop from a trap deck.
That is impossible to me, but we just see it here in action,
This is
apparently.
insane. I mean, I guess no one really thinks, like, there have been very few cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! That let you activate a trap on the same turn it was set. So, like, I can't even remember the name of the card now. Mudora. Is it Mudora, the very old card that lets you activate traps, and it was absolutely insane. But now we're seeing just doing it once with a Ku Klok, it's still, like, allowing Minjae to assemble this incredibly powerful combo.
Now we only have one
Target. No, you can just special summon
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah, we already activated the trap card.
And the...
Oh, yeah, a lot
And
of
a
the
lot
Heavenly
of the-
Prison works as well, of course. Let's just set another
We
card
only
from our
have
deck.
one. Actually, no, let's make that 3.
He's just not letting Luka play. I mean, this might as well be his draw phase.
Yeah, it might actually be his draw phase.
And also, I think, yeah, Ariana also is going to give us another draw because there was another monster leaving the field because of a trap effect.
So you can either search for a lovely lady or for a labyrinth even, or you can draw. You can only use one of them.
Absolutely.
Guys, usually hand traps are used to stop big combos like this from going off that can just hand loop you entirely on your turn even, so you don't even get the draw one for turn. Is there anything that stops this? Like, I can't even
really
think of
tricky.
a single... Effect Veiler does not work against this. What else doesn't work? Ash Blossom doesn't work against this?
Ash Blossom can
Ash
stop
Blossom
it a
or
little
Bell
bit.
would have negated the first.
Yeah.
And here we're going to see the hand.
Okay, Eradicator for the spell cards, and look at that, I think I saw 4
Absolutely
spell
insane.
cards in Luka's hand, and that is super rough.
Luka not
Look at
looking-
that,
oh my goodness.
Boy.
He was seeing
And the
his hand
full
and he
force
was really happy
virus.
first.
And
To take
there
out
comes
the
a
last
full
card.
boss as well, and so that Robina is going to leave the hand of Luka as well. And that is a
What?
concede by Luka with no cards left in hand by the double virus combo of Minjae. Wow.
We were seeing a full monster hand of the Labrynth deck, and I remember one of you guys saying, I mean, he's probably a little less worried than we are about this, but he was looking at his hand like, oh, I win.
This is
This
perfect.
is over. This is exactly the hand that I want to have. So you have no cards in hand anymore, and I have everything.
That was really, really well executed as well. Absolute amazing showing of that Labrynth strategy. And is that now the new way to play Labrynth? Because we have not known about this approach to the deck just yet, because like every single regional deck list I saw over the last couple of weeks, it was always the same. Always just a bunch of traps and then a couple of monsters. And now it seems to be equaled.
More. There's like 30 monsters in his deck or something like that. Honestly, this to me is the most sort of terrifying display of a sort of rogue deck that we've seen. Most of the rogue decks I've looked at and I've thought, okay, you know, this is making a big field, but a lot of decks are including ways to break big fields and probably some hand traps and some Nibirus and whatever. But this, like, your opponent does, makes a, you know, sets up those 2 traps in ways that might be quite difficult to interact with. Because as we said, you can't ash something that sets from the deck. You might not know what hand traps you're siding in. And if your opponent just rips your entire hand before you've started the game, you know, I thought Dark World could do that, but I didn't think you were supposed to do it with Labrynth.
I'm very impressed by the creativity of the players at this YCS. I am in love with this format because all of these players, we have also seen a crazy Mathmech combo, format skipper into search parallel exceed.
This is beautiful.
This is everything we are seeing is so incredibly wild, and also those rogue decks that we are seeing here. Super heavy samurai one. I mean, what else did we have? There was another crazy deck, Goki.
Yeah, and also, of course, the Gate Guardians. And I kind of feel like...
Don't forget about the Gate Guardians.
I kind of feel like the players have been holding back a little bit because, of course, this event is super prestigious. It's the 250th YCS, so they kept their ideas maybe a little bit secret just until this event so they could showcase it here on the big stage.
But now we get to see it. I'm blown away by that. That was a super crazy display.
So I think we got asked earlier by Ed which deck is going to take down this event, and we all had some really conventional answers, right? I said Kashtira, you guys went with Sprite, but I think something completely crazy might just take down this event because people are bringing insanely cool stuff here.
You've changed your mind, maybe? You think Labrynth all the way? You're a convert.
Honestly, I wasn't really enthusiastic about the regular Labrynth strategy, but this got me hooked. This looks really powerful to me.
Yeah, we did see the regular Labrynth strategy, maybe some of the downsides of it on display earlier in the tournament.
Yeah.
Like we saw just, you know, maybe not getting your engine going and then just being, you know, even with the floodgate goes and match, your opponent could just make a few monsters and you'd already paid 4,000 for Solemn and that was the game.
I mean, I also want to say that specifically Luka's deck, the Floowandeereze, looked incredibly powerful because in this game 3, no deck would have beat that. That was the perfect hand. It was like 5 cards. It was like Exodia. You were taking away all the 6 cards of the opposing hand. But in game 2, Floowandeereze, like that was a power display. You had the Apex Avian, you went through the Riser, the Empen, all the stuff that Floowandeereze do by now. We know that.
For sure.
Amazing field on the first turn. It is really consistent. So this is also a big threat to probably Kashtira because the Arise Heart effect doesn't really do anything against Floowandeereze. So we have seen 2 top contenders for this format, especially in this matchup. But let's first of all hear from our winner this round, Minjae, who has piloted the craziest Labrynth deck we have seen all weekend.
Hi guys, yes I am here with Minjae, who's just won that round 11 feature match. The first time you've ever been on a feature match. Congratulations. You were telling me you're a little bit nervous about doing these interviews, but don't worry, I'm a friendly guy. So how are you feeling after that round 11 match?
Well, I'm just I'm happy with the results, and yeah.
Well, that's good, because you've done incredibly well. What's your score at this point?
I'm basically X1.
I mean, that's perfect. What was the one that you lost against?
It was the Kashtira, which is the only Kashtira I met in this event.
So talk to us about Labrynth. Why Labrynth? What is it that you like about the deck?
I really like the strategy with the small Labrynth monsters, which one could be used as hand traps. It allows to play in opponent's turn very a lot. Even my first turn, it allows to activate my trap cards. Yeah, I like those points.
Excellent. So going through your deck, there's a couple of choices that some people are saying are ones that people don't really use. A lot of people mainly use the Ariana and the Lovely Ladies, but you've also got Coup Clock, Chandriglia, and Stovey Torby. Why have you got those in the deck?
Yeah, they just allows me to play in opponent's turn. I don't want to wait until my turn, so yeah.
Okay, understandable. Sounds like a good choice because it's obviously worked well for you. So we'll just go through a couple of the games that you had during that. Obviously, the first one, there were some interactions that led to that skill drain being used. So when you've got skill drain on the field, do you pretty much know that it's over against a lot of matchups?
Yes, because I already make opponents discard one card, and I said, like, it's not pretty much left for opponents. Play.
Well, it all went perfectly, and then you go on to that game too. Luka started with quite a good field. There was M-Pen, a bunch of set cards with follow-ups in hand. Managed to play around your set for back row as well. So you just decided to scoop on that one. You thought there's not really much I can do here. Did you just want to get into game 3?
Yes, I opened like 2 pair, like 2 welcome labyrinths, 2 big welcome labyrinths. So I just thinking for next siding and next game. Yeah.
What are you thinking about siding in against Flu? What's going through your mind when you're making those decisions?
Yes, I sided 2 virus and the 2 Prison of Heavenly Lord, which luckily worked really well. Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. So speaking of those viruses, the Eradicator Epidemic virus, that's one we see a lot, but Full Force virus was an interesting choice. And obviously, right at the end, you deprived them of all their cards. Luka had no cards left in hand. Talk to us about your choices of why you go for these virus cards, especially Full Force virus.
Yeah, Full Force virus is for basically for the sprites. Yeah, you can make opponents destroy all their small sprite monsters, and it's also good for Floowandeereze. Yes.
I mean, yeah, it worked incredibly well. So congratulations to you, Minjae. You've only got one more round of Swiss. Do you have any decks that you're slightly nervous about going up against?
Yeah, I only played against one Kastra, and I lost that game, so yeah, I'm a little bit nervous about the Kastra deck.
Well, let's hope that's not what you get in the next one, but congratulations again. Perhaps we'll see you in that top cut as long as you don't go up against a Kashtira in that final Swiss round, but best of luck in that next round of Swiss. Guys, don't go anywhere because we've got that little bit of a speed duel tournament to show you guys after this, and then we'll be back with more questions for commentators and, of course, our final round of Swiss. Don't go anywhere.